The biggest problem they have is they have a lot of legacy. The state of California is still strapped by a lot of technical debt from legacy systems that are in some cases decades old. And so what you're finding for a lot of folks is they're jumping steps, which is probably a good thing for them because they're getting past having to figure out how do I upgrade in place or buy more technology that I have to put in a premise-based data center or things of that nature. So in some cases, they're able to leapfrog, but some of the systems are old enough that they have to be very considerate of, why they were implemented the way they were, what technologies and protocols were implemented in statute back then, and have kind of evolved over time. So I would say that hybrid is definitely here to stay. You've got folks that have stuff that is on-premise in their data centers or in a private cloud. But then you have still others who have made the full leap into cloud. They've gone all in on Azure or AWS or Google, and they've been able to be very successful at that, which gives them a lot of agility and flexibility. But the biggest hurdle for the organizations that are still struggling with legacy is that existing technical debt. So. The great thing about Nutanix is they're one of, as a client of mine, they are one of the clients that I have a long history with. Nutanix burst on the scene when the concept of hyper-converged really was being born, with an alternative solution to what that technical stack looks like. Traditionally, you have your server infrastructure, you have your storage infrastructure, and then you have your networking. And those usually, depending on what vendor an organization had, would be kind of cobbled together. So early on, Nutanix was to say, they were one of the hottest, earliest to the market where they were able to actually converge all those into a single footprint, easing the administration of infrastructure and things of that nature. Now, as we've evolved past that, that was over a decade ago, obviously, they've really been able to help clientele figure out what bursting to the cloud or living in a hybrid IT environment is really going to look like, and giving people flexibility and choice. The other thing they're able to do is, with the recent acquisition of VMware by Broadcom, give folks an alternative that's a little bit more cost effective and flexible, and gives sort of customer choice in terms of what they're able to do with their infrastructure and with their cloud. One of the things that I've been most impressed with just in the last year or two with Nutanix is they've been very focused on microservices and security, really enabling the concept of having services live in a microcosm of the infrastructure and give you scalability and flexibility in terms of delivering services to your constituents or to your clientele. Nutanix is very sensitive to that. So they've made a concerted effort to make sure that they aren't just sort of a technology in a box for what they're good at, but in fact that they work with the entire ecosystem of partners that exist in things like backup and recovery and things like cloud, things like security, and being very considerate of all those technologies that the state of California tends to have. The state of California is the largest government organization in the United States, minus the federal government. So they have every technology you can imagine. So the great thing about Nutanix is the fact that they can work in these environments that are very heterogeneous and have a lot of different technology stacks, and they roll with all the punches. They're able to work with everybody and be very flexible. For me, I represent a lot of technologies that are very forward-thinking. I don't have a lot of legacy technology vendors that I represent to the state. For me, it's about seeing what that future-proofing really looks like for folks and making sure that they've got a plan for Gen AI. That is going to be the hottest topic the second half of this year. The governor, this current administration, has a edict right now related to Gen AI, and making sure that they're very considerate in their approach to adoption of Gen AI. Artificial AI and machine learning have already been in play for a long time in technology. It's the Gen AI that we have to, I think, be very prescriptive about. So I'm curious to see where folks are looking at that, both from the vendor community and from the state. So I'll be in some of the sessions wanting to see what that looks like. And then also the alternatives for different technology stacks that folks have been struggling with, and seeing if there's anything new that folks can take back and leverage in their environments.